Mi nombre es Juan Bautista Valentín Alvarado y Vallejo. Mi nacimiento fue en el día 14 de febrero de 1809, en Monterrey, la antigua capital de la provincia de las dos Californias, Alta y Baja. Mi padre arribó a la Alta, procedente de la Baja, a principios del presente siglo, acompañando en la clase del sargento de órdenes al gobernador, don José Joaquín de Arrillaga. Su nombre era Francisco Alvarado. A poco tiempo de su arribo a la Alta California, mi padre contrató matrimonio con doña María Josefa Vallejo, hija del sargento de la Compañía de Caballería Presidial de Monterrey, don Ignacio Vallejo. Yo fui el primero y único hijo que tuvo mi padre. Él murió en la misión de San Luis Obispo, a la edad de 33 años y a los 2 meses de mi nacimiento. Mi padre estaba de regreso del puerto de San Diego, hasta donde había ido, comunicando y conduciendo órdenes del gobernador, y murió de resultas de una fiebre precipitada que le privó de la vida en muy poco tiempo. Y aunque mi madre, a la primera noticia, salió con toda violencia de Monterrey, llevándome en sus brazos, no alcanzó a verlo, pues a su llegada a la misión de San Miguel, tuvo la triste noticia de que los padres de San Luis Obispo le habían dado sepultura. Mi padre era muy estimado de todos, principalmente de los militares, sus compañeros de armas. 5 años después de ser viuda, mi madre casó en segundas nupcias con Raimundo Estrada. Yo me crié en la casa de mis abuelos, los Vallejos, que me querían extremadamente y procuraron los medios posibles para mi mejor educación.
As Juan Alvarado grew into young adulthood, the Spanish crown virtually abandoned Alta California. Notwithstanding, the Californios, meaning native-born Spanish-Mexican settlers, remained loyal to the crown, even repelling a group of South American revolutionary privateers attempting to win independence of the colony from Spain. The Californios fought the pirate invaders who ended up burning the capital town of Monterrey. In 1821, Mexico gained its independence from Spain, and the Californios accepted the changeover from the Spanish lion to the Mexican eagle and snake. This new government saw Alta California open to foreign trade. All incoming ships had to anchor in the capital of Monterrey to pay customs duties. This revenue became a major source of income for the California government. International commerce in California became known as the hide and tallow trade, where California cowhides and tallow fat were used to barter for manufactured goods from New England, Europe, and South America. Imported items included textiles, furniture, tools, crockery, flour, tea, and coffee. Alta California at this time was a pastoral society of horses, cattle farming, and rancho land grants. Juan Alvarado lived in the Monterrey capital, where many fandango celebrations, bull and bear fights, and horse races were held to celebrate weddings or receive new government officials and foreign dignitaries. As part of Mexico, Alta California was governed by the new Mexican Constitution of 1824 that granted more freedoms to its state departments, although California was considered a territory, not a state. Juan Alvarado was a federalist and liberal, inspired through his readings of Voltaire and Rousseau. He was opposed to authoritarianism and favored local self-governance. Juan Alvarado's first entry to public service was in 1827, at the young age of 18, when he was chosen to serve as Secretary of the Territorial Legislature, known as the Diputación. The Diputación also met to discuss important matters such as foreign commerce, customs duties, treasury matters, and approval of land grants. In 1834, Juan Alvarado was appointed as Vista, meaning Customs Revenue Inspector in the Monterrey Customs House. That same year, the Mexican governor, José Figueroa, granted him Rancho El Sur, a property of 2 square leagues equal to 8,850 acres along the coast, 30 miles south of Monterrey, in what is now known as Big Sur. The following year, in 1835, Juan Alvarado also purchased a residential lot in the capital of Monterrey and built a 2-story adobe home that still stands to this day. Meanwhile, in the national capital of Mexico City, dramatic changes in the government were to affect Alta California as the Congress eliminated state legislatures and centralized power. Governors were appointed by conservatives in Mexico City to the dismay of local Californios.
En el puerto de Monterrey de la Alta California, a los 7 días del mes de noviembre de 1836, reunidos en sesión extraordinaria los vocales de la excelentísima Diputación, ciudadanos José Castro, Juan B. Alvarado, Antonio Buelna y José Antonio Noriega, con el objeto de tomar medios de seguridad atendidas las críticas circunstancias del territorio, se dio cuenta por multitud de ciudadanos descontentos con la forma de gobierno central adoptado en la República. La Alta California se declara independiente, Estado libre y soberano de México, mientras no restablezca el sistema federal al que se adoptó el año de 1824. Decimos, pues, con toda convicción, federación o muerte.
At the age of 27 in 1836, Juan Alvarado became the youngest governor California would ever know. Alta California at this time had fewer than 9,000 settlers and about 250,000 indigenous Californians.
Unfortunately, the Californians of the North had regular political conflicts with the Californians of the South. This division led to small battles, where no one was killed save a few cattle and horses. Since the small population of Californians were related in one way or another, they took note to avoid actual bloodshed.
Alvarado had to settle disputes between Arribeño, meaning northern, and Abajeño, meaning southern, Californians over the placement of the territorial capital in either Los Angeles or Monterrey. He eventually made a deal to abandon the idea of full independence and accepted the new Siete Leyes, meaning 7 laws, Constitution of 1836, with Alta California as a departmental territory of Mexico. In 1839, Juan Alvarado married Doña Martina Berriesa Castro, daughter of Francisco Castro and Gabriela Berriesa. His wedding became a much-gossiped event in California history. As is recorded, Don Juan was unable to attend the wedding, sending instead his half-brother as proxy to go through the ceremony in his place. The governor is said to have been receiving foreign diplomats on urgent matters of state. However, many believe he was ill from drink the night before. The governor is documented to have had a problem with alcohol, evidenced by a Scottish physician's prescription for stomach pains. His episodic drinking and alcoholism undermined his ability to function in both political and domestic matters. As First Lady of Alta California, Doña Martina came to live in Monterrey with Juan Alvarado in the 2-story adobe known as the Governor's Mansion. Juan Alvarado is also said to have kept a previous relationship to Martina with Juliana Raimunda Castillo as a mistress, whom he had 5 children with. These 5 daughters were acknowledged by Governor Alvarado and given his surname. It is speculated Raimunda's mother forbid her from marrying Juan Alvarado in regards to his problems with alcohol. Raimunda eventually remarried widowed Mariano Soberanes in 1845 and lived on a rancho granted to him by Governor Alvarado. During the next 4 years as constitutional governor, Juan Alvarado devoted himself to administrative duties and government reorganization. The highlights of his administration being expansion of education, management of mission secularization, reforms of import custom duties, civic improvements in the capital and public works, and establishment of a Tribunal de Justicia, meaning Supreme Court, and a Fiscal, meaning Government Attorney. Juan Alvarado also issued the majority of Mexican land grants in Alta California, more than 200, to applicants from all over California. The granting of Mare Island to his brother-in-law Victor Castro read thusly.
Por cuanto don Víctor Castro, mexicano por nacimiento, ha pretendido a este gobierno la propiedad de la isla nombrada La Yegua, situada a las inmediaciones del estrecho de Carquines. He venido en decreto de este día en declarar por el presente a don Víctor Castro dueño en propiedad de la referida isla en toda su extensión, conforme a las facultades que me son conferidas por el Supremo Gobierno Nacional, dado en Monterrey, capital del departamento, mes de mayo de 1841. Juan Bautista Alvarado.
In 1840, the palpable threat of illegal American immigration came to a head as Governor Alvarado felt forced to deport 45 American and some British foreigners to San Blas, Nayarit, in central Mexico. It was said these foreigners were plotting to overthrow the established Alta California government. Governor Alvarado issued an official proclamation in Monterrey.
Conciudadanos, una sórdida y venal facción maquinada por algunos ingratos extranjeros a quienes habéis acogido en vuestro hospitalero suelo, intentaban despojarnos del más precioso tesoro que es la patria y la vida. El gobierno departamental, con ayuda de sus subalternos y de la honrosa guarnición militar, logró sofocar en su cuna esta conspiración. Conciudadanos, puedo asegurar a vosotros, sin equivocarme, que el país se ha salvado del más inminente peligro.
The central government in Mexico City sent no aid in terms of military or customs reinforcements. This lack of support served as a warning for what soon came to be known as the Jones Incident of 1842.
The ambition to acquire California for the United States was no more evident than when Commodore Thomas Ap Catesby Jones, wrongly believing the United States and Mexico were at war, sailed into Monterrey, landed 150 soldiers, and demanded the surrender of California to the United States. Californios were stunned at the Jones Incident.
On October 19, 1842, the frigate United States and the sloop Zion, commanded by Commodore Jones, anchored in Monterrey. Jones then sent a message to then Governor Juan Alvarado, informing him that he would take possession of Monterrey since war had been declared between Mexico and the United States. Señor Alvarado was in shock as he read the note, which was written in Spanish. He advised Alvarado not to expose his people to the horrors of war, because he did not have sufficient soldiers to oppose Jones's troops. Since Alvarado could not fight in defense of his country because of a lack of soldiers, he would comply. The next day, true Californians, people who loved their country and were proud of their nationality, were forced to witness a painful ceremony for the first time. The national flag of the Three Guarantees was lowered from its native flagpole so that it could be replaced by the Stars and Stripes. Antonio Maria Ocio.
As the Commodore was informed the two nations were not at war, Jones hastily lowered the American flag, raised the Mexican flag in its place, and offered a 21-gun salute for his mistake.
After the mistaken taking of the capital Monterrey for the United States, Governor Alvarado conceded the office to the newly appointed Mexican sent governor Manuel Micheltorena. After the U.S.-Mexican War in 1846, in which California was finally acquired by the United States, Juan Alvarado sold off his Rancho Las Mariposas near Yosemite Valley, as well as Rancho El Sur near Big Sur. Retired from politics, had 3 children to care for, Delfina, Juan Cosme, and Augustus, and took to settling north of Monterrey near San Francisco at his wife Martina's family property, Rancho San Pablo, in 1848. Between 1852 and 1856, Juan Alvarado spent a great deal of time in San Francisco, testifying before the U.S. Land Commission. This board of 3 men required all California land claimants to appear before them to have their land titles confirmed. Having given out more land than any other governor, Alvarado testified 137 times in cases before the commission. By 1860, Juan Alvarado was back in San Pablo, where he opened the town's first public hostelry, the Union Hotel. Don Juan also displayed charity to the Catholic Church when in 1864 he donated 4 acres of land across Wildcat Creek in San Pablo for the construction of St. Paul's Church. Martina Castro de Alvarado died in 1875 at the age of 61. On the day of her funeral, business was suspended in San Pablo in her honor. About this time, former Governor Alvarado began collaborating with famed historian Hubert Howe Bancroft to write his account of California history. During this same period, he lost thousands of acres and his wealth through costly land litigations over squatters. On July 13, 1882, Juan Bautista Valentin Alvarado y Vallejo died from an extended battle with bronchitis at his home in San Pablo. He was 73 years of age. After the funeral service, Alvarado's body was laid to rest next to his wife at St. Mary's Cemetery in Oakland. Hubert Howe Bancroft said of Governor Juan Alvarado,
"He had a genial temperament when not drinking, courteous manners, and the rare power of winning friends. In his favor, it may be said that he had more brains, energy, and executive ability than any 3 of his contemporaries combined, that in most of his many controversies he was right as well as successful, that he was patriotic, that the politicians who forced him to expend his energies and the country's substance in sectional quarrels are largely responsible for his failures, that none of his countrymen could have done so well in his place, that he was honorable in his private dealings, true to his political friends, and never used his position to enrich himself. He will always be remembered for his generous and liberal disposition, his sincerity of purpose, and his high sense of justice." Hubert Howe Bancroft.
No statue exists of former Governor Juan Alvarado. However, several streets, parks, and elementary schools are named in his honor throughout Alta, California.